In my last video, I talked about how often MBA candidates misunderstand how to use the optional essay to mitigate a low GMAT or GRE score. This is what usually happens. In the optional essay, MBA candidates write something like, "My test score does not reflect my actual quantitative and academic readiness." This might seem like the right idea, and actually it is the right idea, but the problem with writing this is that it's merely a claim, and what you need is to earn the right to make that claim. Just because you tell the MBA admissions committee that your test score is something they should look past doesn't mean they will readily take you up on this suggestion. There are two things you need to do in order for the optional essay to actually help you overcome that low test score. The first is the explanation part. Now, this is where things often go wrong. One of the most common explanations I see is MBA candidates talk about not being good test takers. If you pause and think about this, why should the AdCom actually consider this? Because from their perspective, the test is literally designed to measure how you perform on a standardized test. So when you say, "I'm not a good test taker," what you're really saying is, the score is accurate, but please treat it as irrelevant. And that's not a persuasive argument. Or candidates point to a demanding job and a lack of time to prepare. But that's not a distinguishing circumstance. Most competitive MBA applicants are balancing intense workloads alongside test prep. A strong explanation doesn't ask the AdCom to ignore the score or treat you as an exception. It helps them understand whether the score reflects a very specific constraint, a temporary disruption, or a real limitation. Admissions committees may understand the context. They may even empathize with your circumstances. But the real question they're asking is always the same: how much academic risk exists? So today, I want to talk about the only thing that can actually reduce that risk as it relates to the optional essay, and that's counter evidence. And I want to be very precise here because this is where a lot of candidates get vague. Strong counter evidence does not mean other impressive things in your application. It means evidence that directly addresses the concern the test score raises, your ability to successfully handle the quant and analytical aspects of the MBA curriculum. The first kind of evidence that matters here is previous rigorous academic performance. Not just a decent GPA, I'm talking about sustained success in analytically demanding classes, statistics, economics, accounting, calculus. The entire process of MBA application review is about pattern recognition. If the AdComs see a consistent academic signal that looks indicative of how you might perform in MBA level work, the test score becomes less predictive of your performance as an MBA student. The second is quantitative and analytical skills you might have gained at work. And this has to be shown, not just asserted. Job titles don't do the work for you here. What matters is whether your role genuinely requires analytical thinking and the use of tools such as financial modeling, forecasting, pricing, statistical analysis. When your professional performance already relies on the same skills the test is meant to proxy, that reduces uncertainty. And the third source of evidence can come from your recommendations. If your recommenders can speak with substance about your analytical ability, this can help reinforce the story that you're a candidate who has already demonstrated the skills admissions committees care about. Now, I need to say something very directly. No amount of counter evidence eliminates the impact of a low GMAT or GRE score on your competitiveness. Even when the explanation and counter evidence are reasonable, even when the admissions committee believes you can do the work, they're still making choices among multiple strong candidates. A low score may stop being a deal breaker, but it doesn't stop being a trade-off. Counter evidence manages risk, but it doesn't reset the playing field. If this helped clarify how admissions committees actually view any explanations of your test score in the optional essay, a like tells me these are the topics that you want me to continue to cover. It also helps others discover this video. Now, if you haven't already, watch the previous video where I talk about whether or not you should even consider using the optional essay to explain your test score. And if you want to learn more about the multiple roles your test score plays in the evaluation of your MBA application, you'll find a full breakdown in an article linked in the description.